Alright guys, it is all kicking off in the Championship right now. We've got plenty to talk through in today's video, plenty of done deals to go through since we last spoke, and of course an abundance of transfer rumours as well. As always, do get all your thoughts in the comments down below and anything else that you've seen going on in the Championship. Listen, there's so much going on right now, we're bound to miss some stuff in today's video, so do keep me in the loop in the comments, but without any further ado, let's just jump in. So we've seen Manor Solomon signing for Leeds United on a season-long loan deal from Spurs. Definitely a player who's more than capable of ripping it up at Championship level if he can keep himself fit. Obviously, this was a position that Leeds were in need of strengthening their wide department. They've got that player in now. We've seen Gustavo Pererta joining Hull City on a season-long loan deal from Bayer Leverkusen. I'm really excited to see the Colombian midfielder in action in the Championship. Hull have obviously been really quite active over this last week or so. Plenty of bodies through the door. I'm excited to see him in the Championship. We've seen former West Ham defender Angelo Ogbonna completing his move to Watford. He joins them on a free transfer. The 36-year-old will look to add a bit more experience into that back line under Tom Cleverley. We've seen Blackburn Rovers signing Liverpool youngster Owen Beck on a season-long loan deal. Blackburn do tend to have a decent relationship with Liverpool, especially when it comes to taking some of their youngsters and developing them throughout the season, this being another example of that. Preston youngster Noah Malwenny has headed out on loan to Newport County for the season. I think that's a decent move for all parties considered. Malwenny, a player who is in need of a bit more regular first-team football, and he should get that at Newport. We've seen Cardiff midfielder Ryan Wintle joining Millwall on a season-long loan deal. We knew that Wintle was surplus to requirements at Cardiff and was looking for a move this summer. A few Championship clubs had been sniffing around, but it is Millwall who won the race to his signature. We've seen Brighton youngster Mark Mahoney joining Portsmouth on a loan deal. The 19-year-old forward will look to add a little bit more firepower into John Mousinho's side. Excited to see him in his first loan spell out from Brighton. We've seen Hannibal joining Burnley on a permanent basis from Manchester United. Looking forward to seeing the tenacious midfielder back in the Championship. Obviously, we've previously seen him at this level during a loan spell that he had with Birmingham. It's thought that Burnley will pay an initial £5.4 million fee to get the Tunisian midfielder, and then that will potentially rise to around £9.4 million if add-ons are triggered in that deal as well. We've also seen Bournemouth winger Jayden Anthony arriving at Burnley as well. Obviously, previously worked with Scott Parker from their time together at Bournemouth. You'd probably say he played his best football of his career under Parker as well, so he'll be looking to get that out of the winger again. He's joined Burnley on an initial loan deal, but the Clarets do have the option to make that deal permanent at the end of the season should they choose. A departure we've seen from Burnley is Wout Weghorst, who's joined Ajax on a permanent basis. I think from the start of the summer, this sort of move was always going to be on the cards, and with the mass exodus we've seen at Burnley over these last few days, I think that Weghorst was always going to be on his way, but he's now left on a permanent basis, heading to Ajax. We've also had confirmation of Lyndon Dykes' move from Queen's Park Rangers to Birmingham. We did discuss this one on last time's video, but it has since been confirmed. I'd be interested to get some more takes from QPR fans on that one down below. Like we mentioned in yesterday's video, it always felt like Dykes was a very polarising figure within the QPR fan base. Definitely had his fair share of strengths and weaknesses, I think it's fair to say. We've also had confirmation of Chidozie Ogbene's move from Luton Town to Ipswich Town, that one being worth a deal of around about £8 million. We also touched on this one in last time's video as well, but have since got confirmation. I do think he's a good effective player, especially for Championship level, and would have been a big part of Rob Edwards' plans for this season, but to get a fee of around about £8 million for Ogbene, I don't think that's bad business from Luton, who have flipped him for a profit. Callum Scanlon has joined Millwall on a season-long loan from Liverpool. The 19-year-old fullback will give Neil Harris another option at the back there. And what a piece of business this could turn out to be. Siriki Dembele has joined Oxford United on a permanent basis, moving over from Birmingham. Now, there's been quite a bit of interest in Dembele throughout this summer. We've spoken about him on these videos for quite a while. A number of Championship clubs have expressed an interest. A few weeks ago, it always felt like Blackburn Rovers were the closest to landing his signature, but Oxford have swooped in and have managed to get that deal over the line. You feel like a real natural replacement for someone like a Josh Murphy, who obviously went out at the start of the window. In terms of Dembele, there are definitely question marks over his consistency at Championship level, but on his day, I think he can be a really effective player, and Oxford fans, I'm sure, will thoroughly enjoy watching him. But as of recording, there are all of the recent deals that have gone through in the Championship. There'll be a bunch more which continue to filter through over these next few hours, some of which I will have missed in this video, I'm sure, because I have to go ahead and pre-record these videos. But without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. We'll start out with a bit more Gustavo Hamer news because we have had some advancements on this one since we last discussed it. Now, there have been some reports coming out of Sheffield that Leeds have reportedly offered Joel Perreault as part of an overall package to try and bring Gustavo Hamer to Ellen Road. However, sources closer to Leeds United have denied that being the case. Joel Perreault obviously hasn't quite hit the heights that a lot of Leeds fans probably were hopeful of when he first arrived in a Leeds United shirt so far, but despite there being some rumours that a potential swap deal is on the cards there, Leeds have denied that. However, one deal that does look to be progressing from a Leeds United perspective is for Switzerland fullback Isaac Schmidt. The 24-year-old is fairly versatile in that he's comfortable playing at either left or right back, so would be a good option on either side there for Leeds. We've now had 3 Championship clubs who have all made a bid for Leicester City forward Tom Cannon, those 3 clubs being Sunderland, who we spoke about in a previous video, Hull City and Luton Town, all 3 of them in for Cannon on a permanent basis. Obviously, earlier in the window we had Sheffield United and Stoke City both being linked with Cannon, but those clubs seemingly preferred a loan deal as to a permanent. If all of those offers that are made have been successful, then it will be up to Cannon and he will have the pick of the clubs there. While West Brom have seemingly backed away from a potential deal involving Will Keane, there's still plenty of interest in the Preston North End striker. Wrexham have had a bid rejected for him worth around about 750k. You've also got Cardiff, who are said to be admirers of Keane at this stage as well and could make a late move for him in the transfer window. Heckingbottom seems pretty confident that he won't be sold, but if an acceptable offer is made between now and the end of the window, anything could still happen. From a Preston perspective, it looks as if we plan to go into contract talks with Will Keane and getting him tied down to a new deal for the club. His existing one is set to expire at the end of this season, so that would make sense. But seemingly North End are still potentially open to strengthening the striker department, with Middlesbrough's Josh Coburn being the latest player linked with a move to Deepdale. Obviously, he's been heavily linked with a move to Millwall over these past few weeks. That's not gone through or anything like that as of yet. I would be surprised if North End spent a decent chunk of change on another forward, especially if Keane wasn't to leave at this stage. I think we're already pretty well stacked in that department. Obviously, if Will Keane is sold, that completely changes things, but already having the likes of Keane, Osmajic, Reese, Leighton Stewart you can throw in there as striker options. I do think there are other departments we'll probably be looking at first, but it's an interesting link nonetheless. Speaking of Middlesbrough, they've reportedly knocked back several approaches from fellow Championship clubs for Anthony Dijksteel, so he could definitely be someone to watch out for in these final few days of the window, as someone who could potentially be on the move, as there clearly is Championship interest there. Former Leeds United defender Liam Cooper has been heavily linked with the move to Hull City, but going off the latest reports, that move won't be going through. It's now being reported that Cooper and his representatives haven't managed to come to an agreement with Hull City, and so it seems more than likely that he could be heading elsewhere. Stoke City midfielder Josh Laurent is seemingly on his way to sign for Burnley. A deal has been agreed. I've seen it reported that that will be worth a base fee of around about 500k, potentially rising to $1 million with add-ons included. Obviously, the Stoke midfielder is in the final year of his contract with the club. He was heavily linked with the move to Turkey just a few weeks ago. That move didn't go through in the end. It now seems like Burnley will be his next destination. After having their opening bid rejected for Plymouth's Morgan Whittaker, Burnley have gone in with a second and improved offer for the Plymouth forward. Reportedly, that would be on a loan deal with an obligation to then buy at the end of the season. Now, losing Whittaker at this stage of the window could prove to be pretty disastrous for Plymouth, especially if they're not able to get his replacement over the line between now and the end of the window. There clearly is quite a bit of interest there from Burnley at this stage, who will be losing a lot of players themselves over these next few days. They're keen to patch up, especially the forward areas of the pitch. From a Plymouth perspective, you wouldn't have thought that loan with obligation to buy would really suit them at this stage, with that delayed fee that they'd only receive at the end of the season. Reportedly, Plymouth have submitted a club record transfer fee for Michael Baidoo, a Ghanaian attacking midfielder who's currently playing in the Swedish top flight. That one would be a really exciting pickup for Plymouth. He's got an excellent record in Sweden, has pedigree of playing in Europe, and would add quite a bit to that side, both from a creativity and just goal-scoring point of view. However, Wayne Rooney has admitted that getting that signing over the line between now and deadline day does look unlikely, as Plymouth do face competition from other clubs from around Europe to this signing. It seems more than likely that Judge Edmondson will be on the move before deadline day. Plenty of Championship clubs are currently tracking the Ipswich defender. We spoke last time about Portsmouth's interest, although they seemingly think a deal is unlikely for themselves between now and the end of the window. You've also got the likes of Blackburn, Hull, Middlesbrough and Watford, who have seen linked of late. Bristol City have made an inquiry about signing Swansea defender Harry Darling. Obviously, he is someone who Liam Manning will know quite well from his time working with the defender previously at MK Dons. However, it's understood that Swansea aren't keen to sell the defender, especially at this stage of the transfer window, so they have knocked back that inquiry for the time being. We could see Bristol City going in with an official offer, or moving on to other targets, which probably seems more likely after having an inquiry knocked back. Celtic are pushing hard to get a deal over the line for Sheffield United defender Austin Trusty. They originally had a bid of around £5 million knocked back by the Blades, but they have since gone back in with an improved offer, which they hope will be enough to swing a deal in this case. And Mikey Johnston is on his way to sign for West Brom on a permanent basis. Despite the strong links to Sheffield United, which we discussed on last time's video, he will be returning to the Hawthorns instead. I think this is a cracking deal for West Brom. Obviously, he spent the second half of last season out on loan with the Baggies, and he really was one of their standout performers in that time. Someone who can get you a goal out of nothing. He's already integrated within that squad and system and set up under Carlos Corberán as well. I think that one ticks a lot of boxes for West Brom there. And a potential departure we could see from the Hawthorns between now and the end of the window is relating to Jed Wallace. Reportedly, Luton are preparing an official bid for the West Brom playmaker, which could see him moving to Kenilworth Road before deadline day. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. As you can understand, a lot going on in the Championship right now. We're bound to have a bunch more news continuing to come in over these next few days, and I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below if you see anything else going on as well. Other than that though guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.